Hello, YouTube. ZiggyNo back. And today we're going to talk about the 5 frequently asked questions. Which 5 frequently asked questions? Well, great question. I'm taking these from Dustin and Brad. Yesterday, they did a great video. Each one of them did a kind of a collaboration on the 5 frequently asked questions. I'm going to go over those questions and give it from my perspective. I love listening to them, love some of their insight. But as I listen, I really wanted to get involved in the conversation. I wanted to give my insight. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and answer the 5 questions. Let me go ahead and tell you what the 5 questions are so you know what to expect in the video. First, should I sell this card, or when should I sell this card? And I'll go over that. Second, what should I grade? I'll go over that. Third, how do I determine the value of a rare or a very short printed or a one of one card? I'll talk about that. How should I buy in the future, whether I'm investing in a sport? What are some tips? And the last one is where and how do I sell? I'll talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First of all, let me start with the first one. Should I sell my Zion Williamson PSA 10? Well, my first question is, you should know the answer to that when you acquired the card, okay? I don't mean to be kind of reversing on you, but what I will tell you moving forward, every investment you make, and again, if you're doing this from the investment perspective, you should have an exit strategy on when you're going to get out. You should have an exit strategy on the low and the high. In other words, if I buy a $100 card, I should know in my mind that, look, if this card were to dip to say $50, I want to get out at 50. I'm not going to sit there and write it down to zero, right? If I'm an investor, sometimes you got to cut your losses and move on. Take the $50, move somewhere else. Other people say, well, at least I got a card, I got something out of it. Well, that's not an investor, that's collecting. You're watching your asset go to zero. So have an exit both on the low and the high. My high might be, if this card is $200, if I get a 2X, I'm out, right? Now, again, once you've set that in your mind, maybe make a note of it when you acquire the card, whatever it is, you have to use it. It doesn't mean you're going to stick to it, but it should be a good guideline, a guidepost, so you don't question yourself, right? If it hits the $200 next week, or it takes 6 weeks, execute on the decision, right? Now, again, this isn't perfect, but if you at least decide what your exit strategy is when you're getting into something, you'll have a better idea. Now, I'll give you another example. That works really well when you're buying a raw or a graded card, right? What about when you're in a break or you open a box? I buy a $500 box or make $500 investment in breaks, and I happen to get, boom, some special card. Should I sell it? Well, again, when you go into that event, the break, the buying, you should have an exit strategy on what your goal is. When I buy a hobby box, my exit strategy through patience is never to sell immediately. So in other words, whatever I get into it, I am going to use through my process, likely going to grade it, or I'm going to send it to a star stock. I'm not in a rush. Now, I say this because to me, patience is very key in the hobby. Now, there's sometimes another example. If I open a hobby box, I might take a very unique raw card that's a short print, but because it's the first one out, it's a very good time to sell, right? Downtown cards, when they're first issued, people don't know how many are out there. What do they look like? But the cool ones will sell fast. We all know when a product first releases, those new parallels, inserts, rarities will sell for a premium dollar. I'll also say an advantage there too. Sometimes the more valuable things like numbered cards or autographs actually can sometimes sell undervalue in the beginning of the market. That's not always the case, but just keep that in mind. In the beginning of the market, a lot of stuff's going on. Should you sell? Know when you buy that break, know when you buy the box, or know when you buy the card, what is your exit strategy? What should I grade? Well, that's a great question. My question to you is, I ask, why are you grading, right? If you're grading simply for investment and return on your dollar, then, well, a lot of things to think about, okay? What's the ratio of the raw to graded? What's the ratio of the raw to 9 to 10, right? You have a lot of things to look into. But if you're simply grading because it's something for your PC or something you like, well, there's a lot of different reasons for what you can grade. You can grade anything you want, right? It's your card, grade what you want. Now, what I will say, I know listening to the other guys, neither one of them are into grading cards, right? Which personally is one of the biggest opportunities in investment. When you add value in the hobby, you really can increase value of the end product. What I mean by, we take a raw card and you take the time to have it screened and you get it graded, you're typically going to see the return on the investment. That's why there's such a big thing, because so few people have the patience to do that, the discipline or the experience, right? So to me, I see still great value in buying raw and grading. My decision is, who do I grade with, right? For example, I was skeptical of HGA when they first announced. I didn't think they would be received in the market. What I've learned is the market really wants a graded card in a slab, and having it customized actually adds some value to those collectors. In fact, I think it's an untapped market when you think about it. So I will say, I will be grading cards in other companies besides PSA. I will use PSA, but I will be using others with the purpose of selling that card. I will also add, my goal is not to maximize the value of the card. Like, in other words, if a PSA 10 is $100, but I can grade an HEA and sell for 80, and the card cost me was 10, I'm fine with the $80 profit. I don't need the $100 profit, right? I'll often say too, and I'll talk about this more, I seldom, if ever, do I sell at the top side of the market. Even if I had something at top market, I'm probably going to take a lower deal because I kind of want to leave some meat on the bone. Now, this is my perception, my perspective, but I don't want people to have a bad taste in their mouth about a purchase. I want them to come back. I want them to build rapport with me. I think that's one of the most important pieces of this hobby is that rapport building. So, right, if I saw a card at the top, like I'll take Deshaun Watson, for example. I think he peaked out around 1,800, 1,500. If I sold at that place and now he's at $300, I know the person who bought it probably not going to be buying from me again. It has nothing to do with me. It's just they had a bad experience, right? But if I sold it to them for less, as an example, I did sell one for $900 when it was selling around $1,500 because the person I sold to was a friend and I wanted them to get some meat on the bone. I don't think they're as upset about it right now because they didn't feel like I tried to get maximum value out of them. So keep that in mind. In other words, when I'm going to grade cards, I'm fine with some of my PSA 10s under market to friends on Facebook where I'm not paying fees, where I'm building rapport, where I'm building that selling, buying experience. Next one. What should I be buying? Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think anybody on the internet has any idea what to tell you, right? You shouldn't be listening to the internet to be telling you what card to buy. What you should be listening to the internet for is to get an idea of what other people are doing and also get some ideas, some systems that work, right? One of the best systems that Brad does is that he simply buys on ComC and he reprices them. He looks for different patterns and strategy. He uses data, and that's able to give him a return on his investment. That's a system that he's developed, right? I have other friends who have systems where they'll buy raw cards, by the tens or dozens, and they'll grade them even with PSA prices or HGA or CSG or whoever it might be. They'll grade them knowing that, hey, half of them are going to come in nines, but those that come in higher are going to return that value. So there are lots of systems that work very, very well. So what I tell you, if someone's asking you to buy, you should do research. Like, for example, know the products that you should be buying in. Currently, it seems like all products are hot. That's not the reality. Most of the products that are out there today are not going to hold value in the future. And that's my opinion, but there's a lot of experience with that as well. There are what we call flagship products or anchor products that really will hold their value. They've been around for a long time. I use Star Stock kind of as a guide. The cards that Star Stock accepts are more the products that I probably want to focus on. Second thing is understand what you're going after. I, in the sports card world, focus on rookies. I go after young talent. I don't go after goats. It's just not in my, I go after them in my PC, but it's not something I think is an investment opportunity. That's a separate conversation. You can go there. I noticed one of the guys, and maybe both made a comment that they don't like to go after rookies until they wait a year and wait for the PSA pop reports to come back. That was like nails on a chalkboard to me because I'm thinking to myself, that is probably the worst thing I would do. In my opinion, in the beginning, the first year of product, especially in basketball, let's take a step back. All rookies are prospects, right? Most value is in the rookie, whether it's soccer, baseball, basketball, football. Then you look at what is the rookie maturation level? How much time does that league give to that rookie to mature and show value, right? As an example, baseball is probably the best. Baseball, you can have prospects and bowmen for years in the minor leagues before they're called up, and then they can have, long careers. And that's probably one of the reasons baseball has such strong value. Second to that, and maybe first now, is the NBA, in the sense that most NBA players will come out and probably have a 2 to 3 year window where they're able to gain value, gain some confidence in the market. There's always one or two that are hyped, going into the season. But if you look at class like Luka's class or Tatum's class or Zion's class, if you exclude those chase cards, there are a lot of good value in those rookie classes. So my recommendation to you is research your class, research your sport, and then go in with a wide net and get as many of those as you can in a select product. So for example, in basketball, I'll go get all the rookies I can in Prism. I'll buy all Prism rookies I can. I'll buy Optic rookies as well as I can in basketball. I'm not going to go chase Illumination. I'm not going to get draft products with that. And then I'll wait a year or two and I let that product mature for me. It also gives me the time that I can send them all off to grading and wait 18 months, right? It doesn't make a difference in my Bowman prospect auto if it takes 18 months for them to be grading. Those players typically don't show value into that. This is a better system in my opinion. You get huge value on those returns when you get those PSA 10s, SGCs, 10s, whatever it might be. You've got graded cards, so you're ready for the market, and you've done your research, right? Waiting a year and seeing what the pop counts are, I think is going to be more expensive. Also, again, I like to add value. So whether it's buying a box that's sealed and holding that and then selling it in a break where you can then add the value if I've held a box that is now more exclusive because there's less of it, or you're selling graded cards, again, add value to me is very, very important. What should I do with this very rare super one of one ultra factor? I forget the way these guys worded it. It was very funny, I will say. I think he said like pink pony, Smurf. I don't know. I don't speak false. I only speak hobby. So as an example, let's say you got the Nebula mosaic of Brandon Clark last year, and you don't know what to do with it. And that's a perfect example because let's talk with the Nebula and let's also talk the Genesis. The Nebula is a prism. It's a one of one. So you can comp that on other one-of-ones in the product. Brandon Clark was kind of a medium-sized rookie, wasn't hot like Ja, but still has some good upside. Now, I don't think you're gonna get the value. I actually think you get more value holding him, but you could look at other players in that draft class that don't have the hype that are in the one-of-one Nebulas. If it's a Genesis, another great card, Mosaic Genesis. I say that because those aren't known. We don't know the numbers. They're supposed to be short printed, right? I think it's 10 or 11 or 50 or whatever, but there's a ton of them out there. So again, you can look for other comps, and I agree with both gentlemen kind of said the same thing, other comps of similar players in that space. Another thing you can do too on one-on-ones is basically fish them. And this is funny because fishing is discouraged unless it's a one-of-one. And what I mean by that, you get a one-on-one, post it in your Facebook group, on your YouTube or your Instagram, your social media, bam, one-on-one. Since it's one-of-one, there's no preset market value. So let people solicit you. Hey man, you selling it? Hey, what are you going to offer me? Right? You can also post it on Facebook. I mean, on eBay, it's some extravagant number and see what offers you get. I listed it for 10,000. The best offer I got was 2, right? So maybe it's a $2,000 card. But there's several ways right now to price those very, very unique cards in the market. And I'll tell you this, you don't need data tools to do it, right? You can use eBay, you can use free tools to do it. You don't have to go out and buy them. I love the paid ones. I'm a market movers guy. Love market movers, but you don't need it. Next up, last question, where should I sell? This one, again, maybe was like nails on the chalkboard for me because I sell on every platform. I did a summer series on this, on trying different platforms. And my experience is, okay, a few things. You should have a process, again, when you acquire product on what you're going to do with it. So for me, when I get products, I normally go through them and I have 3 categories. I have the category of going to COMC, C-O-M-C, going to Star Stock, or going to get graded, okay? For me, the COMC stuff is stuff that's typically gonna fall from $1 to $20, right? It's typically non-vet, might be refractors, colors, vets, whatever it might be. Maybe it's an obscure product that's not supported by Star Stock. That's where my COMC stuff's going. Great platform to sell on. One thing I don't like is you're surrendering control. Once those are in the system, they're not in your hand anymore. So I can't go out. If tomorrow, let's say one of those rookies that I sent 10 of them in become hot, I don't have them in my hand to sell. But I like that model. Star Stock, love Star Stock. I send a lot of rookies there. Now, one comment I have with Star Stock, again, they're out of your control. Once you send them to Star Stock, they're in their control. Also, once you send it to Star Stock, they're going to grade them in such a system that they're really locked in their system, right? If you get a Star Stock B, you're probably going to stay at B. You can maybe get it requested back, but I don't know if you, there are a couple of reasons why I guess you would. But my point is, once you do the grading, you're really stepping forward with them and you're investing in Star Stock to be your platform. And you've also surrendered control to them, right? I like Star Stock because they have a path to grading. So for example, if I pre-screen cards here that I'm going to grade and some go to Star Stock and one comes out of Star Stock A or 5 come out of Star Stock A and happens to be a hot rookie, I might use that either to trade up for a better card to grade, or I might grade 1 or 2 of those cards in Star Stock. And I like that capability. Again, my own pile of grading, what I'll do there, I'll bucket up a list, obviously with the shutdown, or I'm sorry, I should say PSA only being open for the elite. During this time, I'm just basically banking cards. I don't have a lot to bank, but I'm banking them right now myself, wiping them down, getting them ready. I'll probably send some to PSA, but I am looking for alternative grading solutions. I'm looking at TGA right now. I'm also looking at trying Pure Graded X. I like the customization on those, so I'm going to give that a shot. I can't get an HGA because I keep missing the date, but I'd be a fan of that as well. Nothing against the other guys. I would probably try BGS for a couple of things as well, and I'll make a video about that as well. For example, I love BGS for glass cards. I think that's the best place to send glass cards. You can get pristines on that, which is very, very valuable. So hope that gives you guys a little sense. Oh, you know, I should say the last best place to sell, really, in my opinion, still is Facebook over Instagram. But My only comment there is if you're looking for this as a place to sell, Facebook takes some time to invest in. You have to be part of the community. You can't just go in there tomorrow and start selling cards. People might think you robbed somebody, right? But if you've been active in the Facebook community, you've been, someone knows you, you have the vouchers, you can probably get the best return for your dollar and probably have the best experiences as far as getting some good trades, some good deals, and getting, cash equivalent. So those are my 5 frequently asked questions from Ziggy's response. Hope you guys like it. I'm going to leave links to both Brad and Dustin's below. I love their videos. I just want to give you my thoughts on the 5 frequently asked questions. Anything else, Groot? No? Okay, Groot has nothing else to add. He doesn't like, he's camera shy. He doesn't want to admit it, but he is. Guys, thank you very much. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and I'd love your comments.